Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dhwani from Storyscape Studio and I'm back again this week with a new story in the short story series by Storyscape Studio. So this week I'm going to be talking about the fourth avatar of Vishnu, which is the Narsinha avatar. So without wasting any time, let's move on into the video. So last week guys, I spoke about the Varaha avatar or the avatar of a wild boar of Vishnu. If you guys haven't seen that video, I'll be putting the link in the description box below. So make sure you watch that video before you move on to this one. So let's begin. If you remember last time, Jai and Vijay, the doorkeepers of Vishnu's abode Vaikunth, were cursed by the Kumars that they would spend 3 births as Vishnu's mortal enemies on earth. Jai was reborn as Hiranyaksha, who was killed by Varaha avatar, the story which I spoke about in the last episode. This time I'm going to be talking about Hiranyakashipu, who is actually Vijay reborn on earth and who was also the brother of Hiranyaksha. So after the death of Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu wanted nothing but revenge on the gods and on Vishnu for his brother's death. Hence, he went deep into the jungle to pray to Lord Brahma for a boon that will be more powerful than the boon of Hiranyaksha. So he left his palace and his city to his Asurs and he went into meditation. Meanwhile, Indra realized that the Asurs were no longer led by Hiranyakashipu and hence he decided to defeat them all in a fierce battle. He did so successfully. He destroyed Hiranyakashipu's Asurs and his entire capital and he moved on to his palace. There, he found Hiranyakashipu's wife Kayadhu and he decided to take her as a hostage back to the heavens so that just in case Hiranyakashipu ever thinks of retaliating, he could use her to his advantage. Right at that moment, Narad Muni, the brilliant sage, the son of Brahma and the greatest devotee of Vishnu arrived and he stopped Indra from committing this particular folly. Kayadhu, who was at that time pregnant with Hiranyakashipu's son, requested Narad Muni to take her to his particular hut and she would serve him as a daughter. Narad Muni took pity on her and he accepted her as a daughter to live with him and he took care of her while she was pregnant. In his hut, Narad Muni started telling her stories about Vishnu. He was the greatest devotee of Vishnu and hence he shared stories and anecdotes of Vishnu's life to Kayadhu. Kayadhu developed a sense of attachment towards Vishnu. But most importantly, her unborn child, who was Prahlad, also became attached to Vishnu. And it is this unborn child who would grow to become one of the biggest devotees of Vishnu on earth. Meanwhile, Brahma was really pleased with Hiranyakashipu's meditation. His prayers were finally answered and Brahma arrived in front of him. Hiranyakashipu had thought about his boon for a very long time and hence with confidence he asked Brahma to grant him a boon that would, and pay attention to this particular part, that would not allow any man or god or animal to kill him. He could not be killed inside his house or outside his house. He could also not be killed during the daytime or the night time. No one could kill him in heaven, that is in air, or on earth, on land, in fire or in water, and no weapon forged could ever kill him. After thinking for a while, Brahma finally granted him the boon. Hiranyakashipu was overjoyed and he automatically felt powerful. He was sure that his boon had no loopholes. He soon became the ruler of all the 3 realms. He grew in power and he asked everyone to worship only him as God. On earth, he found his wife Kayadhu and his son Prahlad, who was already born, and brought them with him to his palace. Much to Hiranyakashipu's disappointment, Prahlad was a big devotee of Vishnu. But with time, Hiranyakashipu became more furious with Prahlad and his obsession for worshipping Vishnu. Prahlad refused to worship Hiranyakashipu. Finally, the time came when Hiranyakashipu couldn't take it anymore. He asked his guards to throw his own son Prahlad off a cliff. His guards hesitantly did so to everyone's surprise, Prahlad was found at the bottom of the cliff, sitting in meditation and perfectly unharmed. Hiranyakashipu was agitated. He then made some poisonous snakes bite Prahlad. But that too became futile. Prahlad was unharmed. He then let loose wild elephants on him. But the elephants suddenly turned their direction and went the other way, again leaving Prahlad without even a scratch. Finally, he called his sister Holika. Holika had a boon that fire could not burn her at all. And Hiranyakashipu thought this strategy would for sure not fail. He asked Holika to take Prahlad on her lap on a pyre and then set the pyre on fire. But unfortunately, as the fire started to grow, Holika was the one who was burned to ashes, whereas Prahlad was sitting with a calm expression on his face, deep in prayers to the god. Hiranyakashipu was stumped and he could not see any way out now. He decided to kill Prahlad, his own son, himself. He dragged Prahlad to the courtroom and demanded, "You think your Lord Vishnu is everywhere?" Prahlad replied calmly, "Yes, father, Lord Vishnu is omnipresent. He is present everywhere." Hiranyakashipu pointed to a pillar angrily in the courtroom and said, "Is your Vishnu in that pillar as well?" Prahlad said, "Yes, he is in the pillar, he is in you, he is in me. He is there in each and every living and non-living thing present in the entire world." In a fit of rage, Hiranyakashipu kicked the pillar hard. As soon as he kicked the pillar cracked and out came a ferocious being who was half lion and half man. That being was none other than Vishnu's avatar, Narsinha avatar. He was neither god, nor man, nor animal. He dragged Hiranyakashipu and took him to the threshold of the door, which is neither inside nor outside the house. He made him place on his lap, which is neither in air or on land or in water or in fire. He then used his claws, which are not weapon, to kill Hiranyakashipu. He did this during dusk or in the evening, which is neither day nor night. And that is how Narsinha avatar killed Hiranyakashipu, by making use of all the loopholes in the boon that Hiranyakashipu had asked from Lord Brahma. After he killed Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad, with utter devotion in his eyes, approached the avatar and bowed down to him to take his blessings. He thanked Narsinha avatar to save his life. He knew Lord Vishnu would come to him and save him no matter what. Narsinha avatar then crowned Prahlad as the king, and he ruled with utmost honesty and truth. And that is how Vijay, who was born as Hiranyakashipu, completed the first birth as Vishnu's mortal enemy on earth. And Vishnu himself, in the form of Narsinha avatar, liberated him of this birth. Jai and Vijay were then reborn as none other than Ravan and Kumbhkaran in the Treta Yuga, and Shishupal and Dantavakra in the Dwapar Yuga. Both were killed by Ram and Krishna respectively during their avatars on earth. Again, little fun fact, every year we celebrate Holi to mark the triumph of good over evil. So, we celebrate Holi for 2 days. The first day is the Holika Dahan, where we literally light a bonfire, which marks Holika sitting with Prahlad on her lap and getting burnt to ashes. And the next day, we celebrate it with colors and water, which marks the death of Hiranyakashipu. But did you guys know there are several stories behind Holi apart from this one? Though this by far is the most famous story known to everybody. But Holi is also celebrated in many parts of India because it also marks the death of the demoness Putana, who tried to kill Krishna as a baby. And on her death is when we celebrate Holi. But there is also one more very interesting story. Have you guys ever wondered why on Dhuleti, or on the day where we celebrate Holi with colors, do we also have thandai mixed with bhang, etc.? Because bhang and thandai is generally not related to Vishnu or any other god, but it's related with Shiv, who has no relation whatsoever with this story. I'll tell you why. So this day is also marked because long time ago when goddess Parvati was trying to get Shiv to marry her for the betterment of the world, she approached Kamdev, who was the god of love. Kamdev struck Shiv, who was deep in meditation, with his bows of love, which angered Shiv. He opened his third eye and he immediately burnt Kamdev into ashes. Kamdev's wife Rati was distraught. She begged Shiv to reconsider because without Kamdev there would be no love in the world. Shiv finally realized what he had done and hence he reincarnated Kamdev, but not in any physical form. He told Rati that Kamdev would only be felt all around the world. He would never be seen. And hence, love is always felt. It's an emotion that is always felt and not seen by anyone. Hence, Holi is celebrated because of the resurrection of Kamdev and also because Shiv finally accepted goddess Parvati as his only consort. And hence we celebrate Holi with colors and especially with gulal, which is red in color, which is also the color of love. So that's it for this time, guys. I'm going to be back next week again with another avatar of Vishnu, which is the Vaman avatar or Vishnu in the form of a dwarf. So stay tuned. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please do like, comment and share with your friends and loved ones. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click the bell icon to not miss any of my updates. Do follow me on Instagram as well under the name of Storyscape_Studio and on Facebook under the same name. I'll be waiting for you next week. So stay tuned, stay safe. Bye-bye.